On today's Strictly Vikings, we recap a Vikings Rams game that one feels like forever ago, and two was one of the most blatant, craziest rigged games I have ever seen in my entire life. We're going to take our side eye look around the league. We'll talk a little bit about what's next for this Minnesota Vikings team during our Facebook scroll of the week. We're going to preview the game against the Colts on Sunday Night Football. And of course, we'll end it off with our Chat GPT player of the day. Let's get into it. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, and the Minnesota Vikings have some questions that need answering. And after that game on Thursday night, which I said in the intro feels like it was forever ago, there are a lot of questions that people are starting to come up with about this team. Is Brian Flores legit? Is this defense legit? Can they make pressure without bringing 8 guys on every single play? Is this secondary legit? A lot of questions going around that need answers, and they need answers fast, especially when you're about to face the easiest part of your schedule coming up. You need to win games, and you need to win them soundly. I don't think these can be close games. I think the Vikings need to hunker down and win these games like they had been in the first 5 weeks of the season. Um, it was a tough game against the Rams, and am I worried about the loss? No, because it was a short week flying across the country against 2 wide receivers now that they now have back with fresh legs. And you can say the rest of the NFC North beat the Rams, but the rest of the NFC North didn't play this Los Angeles Rams team. They didn't play Puka Nacua. They didn't play Cooper Kupp. They didn't play him on a short week with limited time to get ready. And Sean McVay, a great head coach, is able to game plan on a short week against a Detroit Lions team that honestly exposed this Vikings defense a little bit. And he was able to take advantage of that. And I'm not making excuses for the Vikings. If they want to be a Super Bowl caliber team, a playoff caliber team, they need to be able to win these games. But I'm also saying it was a tough situation for the team to be in. And I'm not that worried about it. I think they still have a lot of confidence in the locker room. And I don't think anything is teetering from where it was at the beginning of the season. I think Kevin O'Connell has these guys ready to play on Sunday Night Football, back-to-back primetime games, and I think they'll continue to play good or great like they did at the beginning of the season. I just need to mention those refs. It was bad. It was a bad game, and refs are going to make bad calls, and they're not going to be perfect, and they're going to miss calls, obviously. But at the same time, when these refs are doing it on some of the most key plays in the entire game, it's horrendous work. That Byron Murphy phantom holding call on 3rd and 7 when the Vikings were about to get a stop and get off the field with a 7-point lead, giving the ball back to this red hot offense, and you make that phantom holding call against Byron Murphy Jr., that is a game-changing, season-changing call. And it was one of the worst calls I have ever seen on a football field. And I'm not even exaggerating. It was brutal. One, the ball wasn't even going to him, again, it doesn't matter if the ball's going to him or not, but like the fact that you looked at that and was like the wide receiver got totally changed off his course because of what Byron Murphy did it's unbelievable. Terrible call, terrible momentum swing, and of course the Rams went down and capitalized and scored on that drive. Absolutely horrific stuff from those referees. And then obviously the face mask, one of the worst calls ever in the history of the game. No idea how no ref saw that. No idea, even if you didn't see the face mask, the way Sam Darnold's helmet turned, the way his neck snapped. How do you not even consider throwing a flag for a face mask, getting together and discussing it? And then if you truly believe there wasn't a face mask, then you can pick up the flag. But the fact that that wasn't even considered to be a penalty is absolutely absurd. And all these people saying, "Oh, the Vikings wouldn't have gone down and scored anyway." Why not? Why wouldn't they have gone down and scored and gotten a 2-point conversion? It's one of the best offenses in the league. Of course they can do it. Absolutely absurd. I want to start with the offense. They fed JJ the ball early. They must be listening to Strictly Vikings because I preached on this podcast last week that you need to get the ball to Justin Jefferson early and often. And it needs to be a point of emphasis going into games and sticking with it throughout games in order to keep him involved. He's the best player on your team, and you need to treat him like that. He's one of the best players in the NFL, and you need to treat him like that. And they did a great job getting him the ball early and often. But again, it kind of wavered in the second half. And I know the Rams probably made some adjustments, but at the same time, getting him the ball was important, and they did that early. KOC's scripted drives are like poetry in motion. I feel like he had leftover plays from that first drive, and he was able to capitalize on it on the second drive of the game. And this Vikings offense was just rolling. And of course, the Rams made some adjustments to kind of slow down that offense. And same with the Vikings defense, able to slow down that Rams offense. But man, those scripted drives are perfect to start games. And the defense needs to capitalize on those drives. And the offense needs to keep that momentum rolling into the second half to keep those drives consistently going throughout the game. Trent Sherfield and Josh Oliver. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that those two guys would score the first two touchdowns for the Minnesota Vikings? But that's fine if KOC is getting all of these guys involved, keeping them happy. Trent Sherfield, Josh Oliver, guys that are key blockers when the Vikings are trying to get that run game going. And if you're able to keep them happy and engaged by doing that, that's perfect. It's kind of like getting Rudy Gobert almost a bucket every once in a while. Mike Conley will come down and see that Rudy Gobert is working on the defensive side of the court. And Mike Conley's like, all right, you know what? Rudy needs a touch. Rudy needs a post touch. He needs a lob. He needs something to keep him engaged on the offensive side of the ball, reward him for what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball, make sure that's locked and loaded. Rudy Gobert is going to get his bucket. Josh Oliver, Trent Sherfield are going to get their touchdowns. Good to go. That's what I love from KOC. Pre-snap penalties once again. I saw a stat that the Vikings lead the NFL in delay of game penalties since 2020. They need to clean that up. I don't know if it's KOC getting the call in late, Sam Darnold not relaying the call fast enough, making adjustments at the line, whatever it may be, it needs to be cleaned up. And although they're only 5-yard penalties, those 5-yard penalties are key from going from a 3rd and 2 to a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 4 to a 3rd and 9. Those are big plays. They're penalties that will change your play on offense on what you're running because of those 5 yards. And the Vikings need to stay ahead of the sticks, especially with Christian Darrisaw going down. You need to stay ahead of the sticks because this pass protection is not going to be nearly as good without him there. Sam Darnold was holding on to the ball a little too long for my liking on some of these plays. I'd like to see him just get rid of it. Throw it in the dirt. Kirk Cousins was excellent at just throwing it in the dirt at wide receivers' feet, not feet. Sam Darnold needs to do that sometimes. He just needs to throw it away. He does a good job scrambling and extending plays at times, but at the same time, he just stays in that pocket and just holds the ball. And this is what's haunted him his entire career. And you're going to get some flashes of that. I'm not like totally bashing him, but you're going to get flashes of him holding the ball a little bit too long, and he just needs to roll out or just throw it at the wide receiver's feet like Kirk Cousins would always do. Darrisaw's hurt, and people are going to say it was a questionable call to run the ball there, but at the same time, you can't play to not get injured. You can't play to not get hurt. If Aaron Jones rips off a run for 15 there and you have a minute left with 3 timeouts, you can go get a field goal. You can go get 3 points. You have confidence in this offense to go put points on the board with all the timeouts in your back pocket and a minute left on this clock to only get 30, 40 more yards. A lot of teams do that. They run the ball to see if they can get a nice little pop or gain on first down. That's not Kevin O'Connell's fault. That's not the offensive coordinator's fault, Wes Phillips, for calling that play. That is what NFL teams do, and that's what NFL teams need to happen in order to keep that momentum started on a drive to end the half. I don't blame them at all for making that call. It was just a bad situation that ended up Darisaw getting rolled up on, ending his season. This Vikings offense is going to look completely different without him. And now, honestly, the conversation changes about him getting back into the lineup for next season, week 1. We're hoping to get him back next season, week 1. We're not hoping for anything other than that for Christian Darisaw. That's what needs to happen. In regards to the rest of this season, I believe they might move Brandell to left tackle, or for this upcoming week, they might see what Quessenberry can do at left tackle and try and keep those 4 guys the same. Because I don't know if you want to completely switch up the left side of your line. But I mean, see, I don't know. It's tricky. I don't know if you want Reisner playing left, Brandell playing left, Reisner playing left guard, Brandell playing left tackle, or the other option would be Brandell stay at left guard, Quessenberry play left tackle. Quessenberry, he allowed some pressures when he came in, but that is a very hard situation to be in, especially when you're facing a stud rookie in Jared Verse, and you're really not expecting to play, considering it's Christian Darisaw and things don't usually happen to him. So the Vikings got some decisions to make before Sunday Night Football on what they're going to do with the left side of that line, and I'm interested to see what happens. My guess would be they stick with Brandell at left guard and they roll with Quessenberry at left tackle. That's my guess. People were bringing up Jordan Addison posting 3-3 on his Instagram story after the game. I don't think there's any reason for concern here. I think he just wants the ball. He's competitive. He's a competitive guy. And that's what happens when you don't really get fed the ball that much. I think he's going to be all right. He's been saying free 3 for a while. His chain after he got drafted actually said free 3. So nothing to really worry about there. Let's go to the defense. I'm learning that screenplays are limiting this defense and what they're able to do, especially the Rams, who are a great screen team. They did a great job limiting the defensive blitzes from Brian Flores, and that's going to be on film, and that's probably what these Colts are going to do on Sunday Night Football coming up. A lot of screens, a lot of keeping the Vikings defense on their toes, making sure they're reading out the whole play instead of just freaking sending it straight to Joe Flacco. Ivan Pace had a rough game, I feel like. He had a rough first drive. He had a face mask. He had a missed tackle, and he allowed the score against Kyren Williams. It was a tough game for Ivan Pace. There's a lot of pressure on him with Blake Cashman out. And to be honest with you, towards the end of that game, Ivan Pace was being sent home on a blitzer every single down almost. And it was kind of crazy to see. I guess B-Flow maybe just doesn't trust him in coverage all that much. So they're just sending him on blitzes instead. Luckily, we have a guy named Josh Metellus that can kind of play a linebacker role, which he has been doing the last 2 weeks with Blake Cashman out. But hopefully Blake Cashman can come back Sunday Night Football. He's ready to go. Turf toe is feeling good. And this Vikings defense gets back to normal. We already talked about that holding call on Byron Murphy. It was absolutely terrible. I was saying this during the game. If they're going to run the ball for 10 to 12 a pop, and they're going to continue to do that on this defense, I want to make them pay when they run the ball. Like, I want guys smacking these dudes when they run through the hole. I want them punishing them when they're running for 10, 12. You want to make these guys not want to run the ball 20 to 25 times a game. You need to punish them. And they were just like, I get that it's hard when they're ripping off these big gains, but at the same time, gang tackle, fall on these dudes. Make it hard for these guys to get up. And it's kind of annoying when you're just letting it go for 10 to 12, 13, 14, every single pop. These guys are running the ball. And Kyren Williams is a great back. But you're playing JT on Sunday Night Football coming up, and you're going to need to smack that dude in the mouth. You're going to have to make him pay for running the ball on this defense. Otherwise, they're going to keep freaking doing it. It's going to be important. You need to be able to get to the passer without rushing 8, 7, or 6 guys. You need to be able to create a pass rush with only a four-man rush. Colts offensive line, they have Quentin Nelson, but outside of that, this offensive line can look shaky at times. And I want to see Grenard. I want to see Van Ginkel. I want to see Bullard, Phillips, whoever it may be. I want to see them getting pressure on these guys with four. You don't need to rush six to get pressure. That's a huge advantage when you can get pressure with only four. And I want to see that happen more and more often on Sunday Night Football. Flacco is a freaking statue. The one good thing about playing Flacco and not Richardson, Richardson would scramble all over us all day. And I know Richardson can't sit back there and throw the ball like Flacco can, but at the same time, Flacco isn't going to be breaking the pocket, running for 10, 12, and gashing us. And Stafford didn't do that, but Stafford broke that Harrison Phillips and John Grenard tackle and then threw a touchdown. Flacco ain't doing that. He's not doing that at all. And Flacco can get uneasy with the ball sometimes. He threw a lot of interceptions with the Browns last year. He hasn't thrown as many with the Colts this year in his 2 games, but I do think the Vikings can kind of take advantage of some of those tendencies on Sunday Night Football coming up. All around, rough game, tough game. The offense looked good at times. The defense looked good at times. We need to put a full game together on Sunday Night Football. Get the confidence in this fan base back up. I haven't swayed whatsoever. I'm still confident that this Minnesota Vikings team is good. You're a 5.5-point favorites on Sunday Night Football at home. You need to shake the primetime demons, and you just need to come out with a big win. Let's do it. All right, side-eye look around the league. The Bears. Of freaking course, the Bears. I think it's hard being a Vikings fan some days, but man, the Bears is a different level sometimes. I mean, this brutal. Tyreek Stevenson had a video go viral of him chirping the crowd right before that Hail Mary, and that is going to be a video that will be circulating in time for the rest of the NFL history. That was an unbelievable video, and he went on Twitter and he apologized for it, but my God, if that was a Vikings player, I don't think I would ever forgive them. That is one of the craziest things I have ever seen in the history of my football watching. Unbelievable stuff from him. I can't believe he did that. The pack. I mean, and one more thing about that play. That's the only reason the Vikings aren't in last place in the NFC North right now is that Hail Mary. But bad franchises make bad plays, and that was a key proving point of that statement right there. The Packers escape with another Malik Willis win. It's unbelievable that this dude, Malik Willis, can come in and just light the freaking room on fire no matter what. And that is a compliment to Matt LaFleur and all he's able to do and all that he does for this Packers offense. And I'm convinced you could have freaking Jamarcus Russell back there behind this Packers offensive line, and it don't matter. Matt LaFleur is going to scheme something up in order to get a wide receiver wide open. And as long as you put it within 5 yards of any of these wide receivers, they're going to catch it. And they're going to run, and the Packers are going to beat you. But at the same time, they shouldn't have won that game. The Jaguars absolutely jaguared that game. That fumble from Trevor Lawrence was one of the ugliest things I have ever seen in my entire life. Take the sack, punt the ball, make them drive down the field. Unbelievable stuff. The Lions are an absolute wagon, and fans were freaking the hell out after the Vikings lost by 2 to them on a game-winning kick in which they had a chance to win the game on offense. People were freaking the hell out. Freaking the hell out that they lost by 2. This team is an absolute wagon. They are playing the best in the NFL right now, and the Vikings were right there. Back and forth contest, ready to beat them. And people are still freaking out about the Vikings. The Lions are freaking good. And if they don't win this division, I'm going to be surprised. We have a juggernaut matchup of Lions versus Packers this weekend. Very interested to see how that game goes. Juggernaut matchup. And I'm excited for it. And the Lions are playing good ball, and the Vikings played good ball just along with them. It's a long season. We're going to play the Lions again last week of the season. There might be some important games. That might be an important game for both teams here. Famous Jameis is back, and man, do they love playing for him. Guys love playing for Jameis Winston. They do not love playing for Deshaun Watson. I wouldn't love playing for Deshaun Watson either. I would hope that I don't have to play for Deshaun Watson if I was on his team. I would way rather play for Jameis. The post-game and pre-game interviews were absolute gold. If you hadn't seen them, please go watch them. Absolute gold from Jameis Winston. Um, he's such an easy guy to root for. I mean, just from starter to, from questionable starter to backup to, I don't know if he was a third string. He is a third. He was, I guess, a third string last week when DTR came in when Watson got hurt, but he's back. People love playing for him. I love watching him. He doesn't give a crap about what he does with the ball. It's super refreshing, exciting football to watch. So excited for Jameis. That Jets win that the Vikings had a couple weeks ago in London, that's looking worse and worse every single week. The Jets are a poverty of a team. They've smashed the fire your coach button. They've smashed the Devontae Adams button. They smashed the Hassan Reddick button, and they still can't win games against terrible teams. Terrible teams. The 2-6 Patriots. I saw a meme, verbal meme here. It was Michael Scott shaking his old boss's hand. It said, Patriots, lowest expectations in 25 years was Michael Scott. Jets expectations, the highest they've been in 25 years was their boss. Shaking hands, 2-6 record. They both have 2-6 records. It is unbelievable to me that the quote unquote powerhouse New York Jets have 2 freaking wins against terrible teams, and they're losing to terrible teams on primetime because, for the love of God, they have a primetime game every freaking week. Guess who plays on Thursday Night Football this week? The New York freaking Jets. And guess who's going to lose on primetime? The New York freaking Jets. And guess what every freaking talk show on Friday morning is going to talk about? Are the Jets done? Are the Jets bad? No shit, they're back. No shit, they're bad. They're 2-6. About to be 2-7. This season is cooked. One of the biggest sports failures of all time. All time. One of the worst loaded teams of all time. They're so bad. They're so bad. The Chiefs remain undefeated, and they're just going to keep winning games until people start to notice. They're freaking 7-0. They haven't lost since Christmas Day of 2023. We're 2 months away from them going an entire, and I know 2 months is a long time, but we're 2 months away from them going an entire 365 days without losing a game. And the only game they're not going to be favored in the rest of the season is when they play at the Bills. And they could easily win that game. They won that game last season. This defense is insane. Patrick Mahomes isn't even playing good, and they're undefeated. Imagine when this dude gets it rolling. These boys are going to be unstoppable. The Chiefs might go undefeated, and it seems like nobody is talking about it because it's just everybody's so used to it. Everybody's so accustomed to this team being so good that we're just totally not even acknowledging the fact that the Chiefs haven't lost a game. They're 7-0. It's crazy to me. The Eagles look like they could potentially be back in the NFC. I wasn't really writing them off. They had a lot of guys hurt. But that win against the Bengals was dominating fashion. Again, I don't know if the Bengals are good, though. I think the Bengals have some really good players, but they have a lot of holes in that team. And I don't think Zach Taylor is that good of a coach, to be honest with you. I think when they went to the Super Bowl, it was more just like people kind of forget how good Jamar Chase was when he was a rookie. And I think there people were kind of doubting him, and they just kind of hit like a hot spot in the playoffs. And like, I'm not discrediting the Bengals, but I don't think they're that good this season, to be honest with you. Last one here. The Cardinals looked like they could possibly win the division if they keep pulling these wins off. The Cardinals look not half bad. When Marvin Harrison gets going and James Conner is running the ball like a freaking rookie running back, the Cardinals are looking good. I'm not the biggest fan of Kyler Murray. I think he's a good fantasy quarterback, and he's playing better as an NFL quarterback. And the fact that he picked up a win on the weekend that COD got released, pretty impressive. He's making strides. He's taking step forwards in his career. I'm proud of Kyler Murray. Good job, man. All right, that concludes our side-eye look around the league. Crazy week in the NFL. Absolutely crazy stuff. No bye weeks. I have no idea why NFL Week 8 in 2024 would have no bye weeks. It doesn't really make sense to me. Facebook scroll of the week. We got some good ones. Not too many loaded ones. With the Thursday night game, I think people said a lot of the same stuff. The refs, KOC, blah, 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 B-Flow, whatever it is. Here's the first one. We lost 2 games and won 5, but you effing Karens want to effing give up. I effing hate you fake fans. I love you real fans and cheer no matter what. I cheer no matter what. I will always be excited for a Vikings football game because I know what it's like to not have Vikings football in my life, and it's not that fun. No matter if the Vikings are 0-17 or 17-0, it's fun to watch the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays. Gives you something to do, gives you something to cheer for. And this team is a fun team this season, and I don't know why people are freaking out. Preseason expectations were not good for this team. They're about to cash their win total in about 2 wins. Probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they'll cash that win total. Expectations were bad. Then we won games and expectations went through the roof. Then we lost a couple games and expectations are now down in the basement. People just need to just stay on that path, not ride the roller coaster and go up and down on these emotions. Just stay the course. We'll be all right. But I agree with this dude. I don't like the haters. Even though we lost 2 games, we're not out of it at all. We're 5-2. Why are people freaking out? If you are a real Vikings fan, you know what's about to happen. Joe Flacco will look like the second coming of Tom Brady. 4 touchdowns, 350 yards. I thought the exact same thing, brother. Peyton Manning would have been a more accurate description with the Colts, but I get what you mean. I do think we'll preview this game here in a little bit, but I do think Joe Flacco starting is going to help the Colts. The line moved from Vikings 7-point favorites to Colts 5.5, around 5-point favorites. It moved 2 whole lines with Joe Flacco. You start your backup, and the line moves 2 points in your favor. It's pretty ridiculous. I would feel very, very confident with Anthony Richardson playing, but now I just feel very confident with Joe Flacco playing. Joe Flacco gives them an element in the pass game, obviously. He's going to be able to read what the Vikings are doing better than Anthony Richardson did. He's going to be smarter with the ball, probably, but he's also a freaking statue, like I was saying earlier. He is a statue. And I don't know if this Colts offensive line is going to be able to hold up when the Vikings bring 6 or 7. The Lions can and the Rams can because they have good coaches and good schemes and good offensive lines. I'm not sure if the Colts have that. Someone said Rodgers and Adams for Darnold and Addison plus a first. So here, let's downgrade at quarterback. I don't want Rodgers right now. The way he looks, he played good on Sunday, but the way he's looked all season, he's just old. And I feel like he would just not listen to Kevin O'Connell. I don't even know why I'm like trying to digest this trade. This is just an awful freaking idea that it would never happen. Devontae Adams will be good for maybe 1-2 more seasons, if that, if he has a good quarterback. He's not that good. I'd rather have Jordan Addison, to be honest with you. Going forward, 100% Jordan Addison, 1,000%. And a first-round pick, our first-round pick that is the only thing holding on to what we have in 2025. So, pass. This is a dude from last week that I read 2 of. How nice it would have been if the brass would have taken my advice and traded Jefferson to draft Williams, Nix, Daniels, or May. Now we're stuck with a 20-year-old injury-prone quarterback. People just say stuff in these group chats to get people mad like me. This is one of the stupidest things you could have ever said. Trade Jefferson, first of all. Out of those teams that took a quarterback, who would just be like, yep, give me Jefferson. What are they going to do at quarterback? And why would you trade Jefferson? Jefferson makes your quarterbacks better. And we got a quarterback. We got a good one in J.J. McCarthy. I watched him in training camp, all throughout training camp. He does a great job making his quarterbacks better, making his entire offense better, playing a decoy, whatever. You cannot watch that Thursday night football game against the Rams and say that we're not even close to being in that game without Justin Jefferson on the team. One of a kind, the best wide receiver in the NFL. Someone said B-Flow held the Lions to 30 points. He's elite. That's facts. 31 points for the Lions against the Vikings. They just dropped a 50 burger against the Titans. So, hey, you got to take the small wins. B-Flow is elite, 100%. Someone said, it's going to really blow my shit if Detroit wins a ring before us. It's going to really blow my shit. It's going to really, maybe it's going to really blow shit. It's going to really blow my shit. I'm not too sure what this dude's getting at. It's going to be bad if Detroit wins a ring before us. 1,000%. Poverty franchise, poverty city, poverty fans. No, I'm not. The fans are fine. Most of the fans are fine. Some of them not that good. City, I've been. It's whatever. But it is a poverty franchise, and it has been for a very long time. And now they're turning it around. And the 1 to 2 seasons that they're first good in a very long time, if they win a Super Bowl, it's going to be a very bad look for the Minnesota Vikings. Someone said, okay, Quessy, time to do whatever you need to do to go get Dexter Lawrence. See, I'm kind of like, I'm on the fence about this. Sexy Dexy would be a great addition that you can keep around for a number of years in Minnesota. An absolute game wrecker inside. He's exactly what the Minnesota Vikings need right now. He's leading the NFL in sacks. I don't know what it's going to take to get him, though. I feel like it would take a 25 first and a 26 first and maybe a player or some late round picks. It would take a lot to get him. And if you're able to keep him here, obviously, if you're giving up that much capital for him, you have to keep him here. But that means you're really going all in with JJ McCarthy this next season. It would be interesting. If he does it, frick it. Why not? Why not do it? I get that. But at the same time, trading the draft capital and jeopardizing the future, it's risky. I don't think they're going to do it, but if they do it, I respect the kahunas on Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's, between Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's legs. Let's get an update on our Minnesota. That concludes the Facebook Scroll of the Week. I always love that segment. Update on Minnesota Vikings punishment. I'm going to get a haircut today for the Sean McVay. If the Vikings lost to the Rams, which they did, I have to style my hair like Sean McVay. Sean McVay loves his hair. He styles it all the time. I think he got implants. I think he got beard implants too. I'll try and style the beard like his too. We kind of have similar beards, but honestly, my hair, like, all I got to do is really just spike it up with some gel. We'll be able to do it. The biggest one of the season's coming up on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to be in attendance most likely for the game. If you're going to be there, DM me on Strictly Layton. We'll meet up or something. I have to swim a Indy 500 lap if the Minnesota Vikings lose to the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. I didn't do my research when I was working out these punishments because I thought swimming, I didn't think swimming 2.5 miles was going to be that bad. Obviously, I'm not a swimmer. I played football and basketball growing up. I didn't swim. I didn't know the length of the pool. I didn't know any of that. And now I know. People have told me since the day I made it how bad it's going to be if that happens. But it's not going to happen. I'm really hoping it's not going to happen because I really do not want to do that. It would be absolutely brutal if that happened. It would be a freaking disaster if that happened. A disaster. It's not going to happen. Let's get into the preview. It's not going to happen. Again, of course, the Vikings got stuck with Joe Flacco. Just of freaking course, the 1 week they decided to make a quarterback change, it's against us. Of freaking course, the 1 week Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp get back, it's against us. Of freaking course. Of course. Of course, the week Jordan Love gets back, it's against us. Of course. Again, I'm not too worried about it. He is a statue. Getting pressure with just 4 guys is going to be so key in this game to not bring 6, 7, and 8 guys. You have to get pressure. You have to get pressure with just 4. You have to, Brian Flores. Establishing the run on offense while feeding Jefferson and Addison is going to be key. It always is. It always is. You need to establish the run. Aaron Jones has been doing a great job, but you need to establish the run early, and you need to feed both emphasis on the both Jefferson and Addison, as well as Hawkinson. He's coming back. I'm interested to see what the snap count looks like for him. I don't know if he's going to be getting like a bunch of snaps and a bunch of tick right away, but we'll see. I think he's going to play. I think he'll play a role. I think he'll get a couple catches here and there. They really played the slow game with him and made sure he was healthy while he was coming back. So I think he'll be all right. He's going to be an extra element added, and it's perfect for this game and a game to where you wish to regain some of this momentum from earlier in the season and hit the ground running going into the AFC South stretch. All right. Big game Sunday Night Football. Freaking big freaking game for myself, my physical health, the Vikings, the fan base, the franchise. Big, big, big primetime game. A huge primetime game. We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to end it off with our ChatGPT player of the day. I'm going to guess it's got to be someone so random. So random. I'm going to go with, I feel like I've guessed this player before. I'm going to go with Steve Hutchinson. ChatGPT says John Randall. No way. It's not even random. He was a standout defensive tackle known for his quickness and intensity, and he had a unique personality on and off the field. That's freaking true, ChatGPT, but that's not random. I ask you, name the most random Vikings player, and you can think of John Randall is not random. Anyway, big game on Sunday Night Football. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Till next Thursday. If the Vikings lose, I might be dead from swimming, but we'll see. I appreciate you guys.